Hey, good morning, everyone. Bit unexpected, but I figured I may as well do a little bit of a live feed right now. I'm standing in the Haiku Vineyard up in Ukiah, California, so in Mendocino County. This is a long-term partner of ours. They grow beautiful organic fruit. We get some of our best Chardonnay from this vineyard, and it's interesting being part of the harvest. This is the time of year that we've all waited for, that we've put so much work into our vineyards, that has, the last major vineyard decisions that we can make to make the best wines for the 2023 vintage. So I'm out here today, along with many other people throughout California. I'm in a vineyard, and what I'm doing is I am grape sampling. Grape sampling really helps us understand what are the parameters for the fruit that we're going to make into the wine. If you are going to inoculate wine, you want to have a good grape sample, and you want to understand what the yeast nutrients are in the wine. So when you're picking out your yeast for fermentation, you can understand what you want to do in terms of addition rates. If you're a native grape grower like me, I really want to pay attention to what do the grape clusters look like? Do they have any bad smells to them? For example, we got in some Zinfandel the other day that had a lot of sour rot, and that was evident in the vineyard. And we ended up having to do a lot of sorting before it went into the fermenter, because the microbiome, the bacteria, everything that's on those grapes is going to be going into the wine that we make. And with sour rot, it's a bacteria that can cause acetic acid and vinegar and other bad things. So really gaining an understanding of what the fruit looks like before I bring it into the vineyard, or bring it into the winery, will allow me to make the best wine that I possibly can. So I'm out here and I'm looking and I'm tasting my fruit. I'm looking to see what's going on with the vines. These are my Chardonnay vines here behind me. Looking to see, are these active shoot tips? Are they still growing, or are they shutting down? Are the leaves pointing up towards the sky, or are they sort of falling asleep? Are they tilted downward? This is a really great vineyard, and it's been really managed very well. I've been coming out here since January for this vintage, really understanding what the pruning process is going to be, understanding the leafing, having directions. I've talked to some of you about this before, about the decisions that I make to make better wine in the vineyard. And this is all important to the Marshall Wine brand, because we don't just see ourselves as winemakers per se, but we really see ourselves as being in partnership with our growers first and foremost. And Tyler Rodrigue had been growing this vineyard for a very long time. It was recently sold, but he is still part of the Atlas Vineyard Management Company that manages this vineyard, along with Dave Downey. And so I want to give a shout out to those guys. They're really wonderful, and they've been a really great partner for us to make sure that we get the exact fruit that we want brought in at this time. So I'm going to go throughout the vineyard, throughout my block within this vineyard today, to go and smell and taste, and to pick individual berries off of clusters of vines to get a representative sample of the entire vineyard block that I'm going to be harvesting next week. And this will inform my picking decision call, because once I get those grapes, I'm going to go and squish them down and understand what the sugar levels are and the acid levels are. And then I'm going to go and look at the weather and see what weather is coming up over the next period of time. My assumption, based upon a sample that I took earlier on this week, is that picking early next week will be ideal, because the sugars are right in that window where I can get like either a really splashy, fun, vibrant young wine, or I can go for something a little bit rounder, a little bit bolder. All of these things are so important. The key thing for me is I want everything to be in balance so that when I go and I press my wine, I know that I have the best options possible for making a wine that's going to be representative of this vineyard, which is really exciting. So I'm looking over here and I'm going to get into just a little cluster of grapes. So you see this grape cluster right here? Nice little beautiful Chardonnay cluster. So we've got lots of small berries, which is really ideal. The smaller the berries, the better skin to juice ratio that you have. If there was to be a heat spell, these tiny little berries here would probably just fall right off. I would lose all of this little thing. And you'll notice this is basically no seed in this berry. So it's not something that the vine itself is going to hold on to, because ultimately the grapes make the vines are producing grapes to attract birds to go and spread seeds so that it can go and further propagate. But this tiny berry has no seed in it. So the vine knows that it really has no use. So if the vine gets stressed out by heat or water, or if it's just getting too late and it wants to start shutting down, this is the first fruit that's going to go. And sadly, that's also some of the most tasty, flavorful fruit that's going to go. And I don't want that. I want every tiny berry that I can possibly get to come in, because it's going to make some of the best wine possible. And that makes me a better winemaker, because I'm out here and I'm paying attention and I'm literally making the wine in the vineyard. And I'll have a class on that someday, just to elaborate upon what it is. You can get into debates with people that say wine's made in the winery, vineyards are separate. My truthful belief is the better that I can do in the vineyard means the less work that I have to do once the fruit actually comes into the winery. And that's a very just simplistic thing to understand. You make the best fruit possible, then you get to really reap the rewards of it in the winery. Now, that being said, I don't think that there's anything wrong with people doing what they need to do to make the best wine possible. Whether or not that's inoculations, if that's supplementing tannins. I think everyone has a different process. And whether it's, you're going from a 0-0, like I'm not going to use any sulfur, completely natural wine, to, the bigger boys that make millions of cases of wine where they don't necessarily have the luxury to make wine in the vineyard. I think both of those are fine. Everyone needs to do what's best for themselves at the end of the day. But for us, it's really about partnering with the vineyard and understanding what is going to be coming into the winery so that we can make something that's tasty and not manipulated. And, if I use new oak, it's to frame the fruit, but not to just have it be an expression of oak. Those are the decisions that I want to be able to make, but I can really only make those decisions if I have a good vintage, if I have a great grower partners like I do here with Haiku Vineyard and some of my other really amazing growers. And so, yeah, and then I want to go and make this into a wine that you're going to be able to enjoy with your family. Or maybe just enjoy by yourself on a beach. Who knows? There's so many great ways to go and enjoy the Marshall wines. So let me just go and get back to this little grape cluster right over here, this cute little grape cluster. One of the other things that I'm looking at here is when I pull off this grape right here, got this little guy, what's going on the actual cluster itself? Okay, so you see that little stem right there? It's kind of tough to see. It's right here. It can either just stick straight out, or it can do something and form a teardrop, which that teardrop indicates scything. Now, that scything indicates to me that there's really not too much more that the vine can give to that grape. Since it's not scything, I know that I could leave this fruit on longer if I wanted to. Now, a lot of people don't pay attention to this. I think, maybe spilling some of the beans, giving off the secrets that Greg and I use for making our picking decisions. But this is one of the most important things that we do look at. It's often overlooked because when I typically grape sample, when I've grape sampled for other wineries in the past, I'm more concerned about getting an equal representation, and that is a blind, random representation of the vineyard where I would go and grab grapes from multiple clusters throughout the vineyard. I'm still going to do that today, but I'm paying a little bit more attention than just that. Not only do I want to get grapes off of the front of the cluster and the back of the cluster, or deep inside the vine where you might get more or less light, I want to pay attention to what's going on with this grape, what's going on to the grape and the way that it attaches, what's going on with the grape and the way that the vascular bundle, what is that term? The actual fruit that hangs on to the seed. Is it going to be easily detached? Is it going to be hanging on to the fruit? That's an indicator of ripeness for me. So pardon me while I do this, but I'm going to put this grape in my mouth right now. I know, shocking. That grape should be made into wine, not just going down my gullet. Well, tasting the fruit is equally important as to what the numbers read. And I'd argue maybe even more important, because the fruit is the flavor. The flavor is what the wine is going to taste like. Fruit is wine at the end of the day. So here we go. Pardon me. This might be a little bit gross. There will be some spitting involved. So if you want to turn your cameras off for that, I understand. Don't want to be too grotesque here for anyone, but it's part of the job, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here to show you what's important to me when I'm making these decisions. All right. So without further ado, got good skins. It's a little bit citrusy, not too astringent. And here's the gross part, but it's important. So I'm looking at this. This is the vascular bundle. It's still attached to the seed. If I wipe that away, you can see the seed here. So the seed, it's pretty brown. That means the seeds are ripe. Now I've got the skin in my teeth. It's slightly astringent. Not too bad. A little bit of fresh banana peel flavors, if you can imagine that. I think most people know what banana peel smells like, so imagine the smell of a banana peel. That sort of taste is there. Fruit's pretty ripe. I think this is one of the more underripe berries in this area, but still pretty good. So now I'm gonna bite down on the seed. It's not bitter. It's kind of nutty. So that, and pardon me, I am going to spit. That indicates to me that I can go about my pressing duties and picking duties and not really worry about the seed tannins quite as much. I'm still going to be very alert when I'm going to the press and understanding where the flavor is. I'm going to be tasting while I'm pressing my juice right away. And then I'm going to taste and measure the pH while that's going on as well. So understanding all of that is going to help me make better wine once the fruit's actually into the winery. So all of these things are part of the process, and my goal is to help make it easier for people to understand. I would love to maybe set up a Q&A sometime if people ever have questions about winemaking. It's not a gigantic secret, and whatever I can do if it's, somebody else that's in the wine industry that wants to understand a little bit more, or, maybe it's just a home winemaker. Like, hey, what are the things that I can do to make my own little, 5-gallon carboy of wine better than it was last year? I'm happy to help and happy to have those conversations. And yeah, anyhow, I guess I should probably go and do the rest of the work. Oh, somebody's asking about my hat. This is a Sicilia hat that I found at one of my favorite grocery stores, Glorioso's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Shout out to the hometown in my old neighborhood. Apparently it was Festa Italiana in Milwaukee last week. So I was celebrating my Sicilian heritage out here. Damiano, that is the last name, apparently. No, it is actually my last name. But I do have a lot of things to get done today, so I'm going to be signing off shortly here and doing my grape sampling so I can decide, do I want to go and pick next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Who knows? I will know later on today. So thank you very much, and I'll be in touch. I'll try to find ways to share this with the people that want me to share it. Still learning the whole Instagram thing, and wow, I just want to share this with you guys. I don't know how well. Oh, it's picking up all right. So we were in complete cloud cover until just a couple of minutes ago, and now the sky's opening up to me. It is gorgeous. You got the sun on the hillside on the other side of the valley. It's going to be a beautiful day up here, and I think it's going to be a great day to finish ripening these grapes. So without further ado, have a great day, everybody. Thanks.